Hello and welcome to episode 077 of the Bit Beacon broadcast. It's March 24th, 2025. I'm Kodax and I'm your host through this week's broadcast. So I'm going to jump straight into an unboxing. We haven't done one of these in a while, and I have something pretty cool, at least that's near and dear to me. So I've discussed before, I'm a fan of games like Genshin Impact and Honkai Star Rail, and recently MiHoYo, or Hoyoverse, the creators of those games, put out a physical version of Honkai Star Rail. They did this in partnership with PM Studios, and why this is significant is because Honkai Star Rail is a digital, online requirement kind of game, and it's sort of weird to have a free game have a paid physical version. I believe this retails for $39.99, and what this is called, the Honkai Star Rail PS5 Disc Bundle Trailblazer Edition. It says it's got several included things here: gilded holographic character card set containing 9 cards, an exclusive PS5 holographic Chibi Trailblazer keychain ×2, a PS5 physical game disc and, cover and case, a PS5 postcard, and a game redemption code, which I guess enables me to get some exclusive items in the game that you can't get anywhere else. So this is not just a game case in my hands, it's a decent sized little box. I've already taken the liberty of starting a little opening here, so I'm going to go ahead and get this wrap off. So I should probably first start by describing the box. It has the 2 protagonist options on the front cover: Stell, the female protagonist, and Kalis, the male protagonist. At the beginning of the game, you choose one or the other, and the other does not appear in the game at all, so it's as if they don't exist. I don't know if at some point they're going to change their mind and introduce the protagonist you didn't choose into the story somehow. I don't know if they're supposed to be the same person. So, that kind of thing remains to be seen. It's an ongoing game. On the back of the box, there's a few screenshots. It says explore distinct worlds, riveting RPG, compelling allies, and reimagining tactical combat. It says it requires 100 gigabytes minimum. There's in-game purchases, and the vibration function is supported. Oh, goodness. So let's start by actually pulling out or sliding out these goodies we've got here. Oh, okay, there's quite a bit in my hands. Let me set that over there. We'll start at the top with the game case itself. Let me get this open. Actually, it appears to be exactly the same as the outer box, same front cover, same back cover, and all the goodies are outside of the game, so I'm just gonna leave this sealed for the time being. So we're going to start with the art cards, which come in this really nice holographic case, which of course is sealed, so now I need to go break that seal. 1 second. Okay, the seal has been removed. I've popped open the top of this little cardboard container here, and out comes, wow, these stunning character art cards. They are made of a very heavy, thick paper. They're almost halfway between a jumbo Pokemon card and a regular size Pokemon card. And oh, nice, they're not actually totally sealed, but they are in their own individual wrapping here. They are nice and holofoil, a really sturdy paper they printed these on. Let me slide one of these out and get a better look at it. If I can successfully do this, I'm struggling. Okay, here we go. Alright, so the card I pulled out is Robin. Robin is one of the many playable characters in the game. Not like a protagonist-style character, but one that you can get from the gacha, so to say. where you spend your in-game currency or paid currency and obtain characters. So yeah, these are really sweet. So there's Robin, there's Acheron, there's Sela, there's Kafka, one of my favorites, Jing Liu, Blade, Firefly, one of the community's favorite characters. We've got Sparkle, and then another big favorite, Aventurine. Definitely one of the big favorites of the series. So yeah, these are really nice. I don't know how you would really display or what you would do with any of these really, but they're cool to look at. So you know, it's a decent, nice little bonus. I wish they almost had like a card game or something that I could collect and play, but I digress. Okay, here I think these must be the character charms. Yep, here's one. Here's two. Okay, so yeah, like it said, they're sort of chibi-looking versions, and it's the characters of Sela and Kalis, the main characters, each holding a DualSense controller, and looks like they're almost looking at you, which is sort of like they're looking at the TV, and they're, you know, playing a game. So that's really cute. And then lastly, we have the postcard, which is also in its own little sealed plastic wrap, which is, you know, they really do love to put their things in sealed plastic wrap. And it's got a redemption code on the back, so it's really not a postcard. It's a postcard-sized thing. It's like a small 4x6 looking postcard, but on the back doesn't have like a spot for a stamp or a place for you to write anything. It's got a scratch-off redemption code. It says it includes an Astral Express game disc, a recipe for an Astral Express game disc, a Stellar Jade times 50, credits times 30,000, and refined Aether plus 3. Basically, aside from the recipe, which you can't get anywhere else in game, all these other items are very common. I'll be honest, I was hoping for the $40 asking price that the redemption code would have included a little more of the Stellar Jades, which are like sort of the in-game premium currency. I feel like they could have bumped that up to like 1,600, which at least would have been a full 10 pull, which is worth about, I think, like $15 or so in game. I will just say before I end this unboxing that the print quality on these character cards is really, really nice. These look super clean, and I really love the holofoil effect behind the character. I love how they're framed, sort of behind their art, and yeah, it's just really cool. It's got the character name. It has some gibberish language below the character name, and it shows how many star, like are there 4 or 5 star character. Of course, these are all 5-star characters, but yeah, these are really, really nice. So why might you want to own a physical version of this game? For one, the physical disc is patched up to a fairly far along version of the game. So, which that does mean that you won't have to install as much space on your console if maybe you're really stuck for storage space, because the majority of the game is on the disc, though this is an ever-expanding game, so you can expect that your file size will continue to grow over you know, the coming months and weeks and years that you might be playing the game. One downside, though, is that because this is a game you might want to like log into almost daily to do some little, you know, sort of errands in the game, you will have to constantly be sticking your disc in the console. So, I mean, this is really definitely a novelty item for hardcore fans. I wouldn't really recommend this as the way to play the game. I would download the free game from the PlayStation Store, wherever you play your games, and play it that way, as opposed to using a disc. It just logically doesn't make a huge amount of sense to play this game from the disc. But it's a neat novelty nonetheless. If you're a fan of Honkai Star Rail, I do recommend picking it up. I was able to get it slightly discounted, so instead of paying $40, I think I paid about 30 or 27, something like that, thanks to some bonuses and things I had stacked up at Target. Yeah, that's the Honkai Star Rail PS5 Disc Bundle Trailblazer Edition. Quite the mouthful. So last week I talked about starting to play Animal Crossing on my GameCube again, and I had talked about my internal battery in my GameCube not functioning anymore, and how I had ordered a part to replace the non-functioning part in my console. It's super easy to change out. I watched some YouTube tutorials on how to get in there. I have all the tools needed, so I was really anticipating this part showing up. So finally Saturday afternoon arrives, the part shows up, and I'm noticing like a strange liquid like coming out of the package, and I'm really confused. I thought maybe the mail person spilled like his soda on it or something and didn't realize it is coffee maybe. But I went inside my place after going to the mailbox, and I opened the package up, and there's like literally the most stinky smell I have ever smelled. And it turns out it was battery acid inside the package. So yeah, the whole part was covered in like a sticky substance. There was all this wet stuff leaking out all over my hands. Yeah, I had battery acid all over me. So I had to clean up, had to contact the seller, who apologized profusely and said, he sent out dozens of these and that's never happened, and he's going to send me another one at no cost. So I am still not with my fully repaired GameCube quite yet. So kind of a bummer. I was looking forward to tinkering with it a little bit. But this coming week, I should be doing that, because the new one should be here, I think, Thursday or Friday. Fingers crossed. This past Saturday, I once again made my way back to Gallery Nucleus for the second part of the God of War 20th anniversary celebration. I got there about an hour before the panel was scheduled to begin, just like I did last week, but there were far more people ahead of me in line this time, even though they sold less tickets to this event than they did to the one last week. So why were the fans so eager this week? Well, the panelists were the actors featured in the games. So, everyone kind of loves the sort of pseudo-celebrity kind of stuff going on. So after we were let into the venue and got ourselves seated, we had to wait a while for the panel to begin, which ran about 30 minutes late. I wonder who the diva was holding up the panel. I have my guesses, but maybe you do too. While we were waiting, I caught a glimpse of the composer of the Norse Saga God of War games, the two most recent games, Bear McCreary, sneaking around the venue before the event began. But I was stuck in my seat, waiting for the event to start, so I wasn't able to get his signature or anything then. Finally, the panel was kicked off. The guests this week were T.C. Carson, who played Kratos in the original Greek Saga games, Christopher Judge, who played Kratos in the Norse Saga games, that's right, both Kratos in one room, Carol Rugier, who plays Athena in the first two God of War games, and then she made a small cameo in the 2018 God of War game, Sunny Suljic, who plays Atreus, Danielle Basutti, who plays Freya, Alistair Duncan, who plays Mimir, Robert Craighead, who plays Brock, and Adam J. Harrington, who plays Sindri. So the panel was narrated by Matt Sophos, who's narrative director at Sony Santa Monica. Sorry, the panel wasn't narrated, it was moderated. I think the coolest thing during the panel was having both gods of war in the same room at the same time and seeing them interact with each other. Those two actors have some powerful, deep voices. At one point, the moderator, who was seated between them, joked about the stereo effect of their voices on him. Like, basically, imagine like you're around these two deep-voiced guys, and they have like this internal bass that you could probably feel like reverberating through their rib cage, and he was right in between them. And so, anyways, that got a laugh out of everyone. There were also some heart-wrenching admissions from some of the actors about some of the things that they were facing in their personal lives that seeped into their performances while they were working on the game. I think Adam J. Harrington, who played Sindri, was talking about while he was doing the second game, his mom was kind of slowly dying a really horrible and painful death, and that sort of seeped into his performance and informed it, due to some things going on in the game, that he was able to sort of, tap into to elevate his performance. After the panel wrapped up, the signing began, which went pretty smoothly for me. I brought my 20th anniversary poster that I had signed by the developers last weekend and had all of this week's panelists sign the top portion of the poster. So now it looks absolutely stunning, gold ink on a gold and black poster, and it's just completely full of big signatures, which I love. A lot of my games are covered with a bunch of tiny little signatures, but I like when something can get signed real big by a bunch of people. And posters are, pretty nice for that. However, Gallery Nucleus kicked me and everybody else out of the venue almost immediately after we got our stuff signed so that the private party for the developers and actors could get going. But, as most people walked away, I decided to hang out with a friend of mine, Nick, outside the gallery in the hopes that, we might be able to get a few more signatures before we left for the day. My patience was rewarded fairly quickly with a couple more actors. First, A.J. Locascio, who played Scoldger in God of War Ragnarok. Side note, he was also Marty McFly in Telltale's fantastic Back to the Future, the game. I also got James Mathis III, who played Hildsvinni, and I'm probably pronouncing all these Norse names wrong, apologies to all the Norse listeners out there. And he was Hildsvinni in God of War Ragnarok. So that was awesome, but then something really, really cool happened. Eric Williams, director of God of War Ragnarok, who I had signed my stuff last week, also happened to be at the event, and he was there for the party too. He's been with the studio since the very first God of War game. And he pops outside to get some fresh air, I guess, and walks over and strikes up a conversation with me. We chatted for close to 10 minutes about God of War and the games industry and Sony Santa Monica, the studio. But before he left to head back inside, I jokingly asked him that if he sees Bear McCreary in the party, if he would ask him to pop out and sign my poster, that would be pretty sweet. He laughed and said he doesn't think it will work, but he'll give it a shot. Fast forward about 5 minutes later, Eric walks back outside, and following him is God of War series composer Bear McCreary, who graciously signed my stuff, along with a couple other fans who just happened to be nearby, and then went back into the party. More than anything, I'm just super grateful to Eric, who really hooked it up for me, and after that I packed myself up, left for home, because the night just wasn't going to get any better than that. Alright, I've got one news story for you this week. It's been kind of quiet in the industry. I mean, there's been some stuff going on, but nothing that's really near and dear to me and something that I really want to talk about too much. But there's one noteworthy thing, one disappointing thing that's happening for Nintendo gamers specifically. So it's the dawn of a new era for Nintendo, with the Nintendo Switch 2 on the horizon. But as this new dawn rises, Nintendo is sunsetting one of the hallmark incentive programs from the debut of the original Nintendo Switch. Like how many Rise and Dawn and Horizon and all that I snuck into there? Yeah, me too. I'm talking about My Nintendo Gold Points. My Nintendo Gold Points are a sort of rewards program for Nintendo Switch owners meant to incentivize people to buy games, particularly to buy games digitally. After opening a My Nintendo account, when players make a purchase on the Nintendo eShop, they essentially get 5% of the purchase back in the form of gold points, which can then be applied to their next digital purchase. Players who buy their games physically can insert their cartridge and tie the cartridge to their account and claim 1% of the purchase value back as gold points. So if you were to buy a full-price digital game, you're looking at about $3 of credit back. And if you purchase a game physically, about 60 cents back. These gold points do have an expiration date of 1 year from when you earn them, so you can't hoard them forever. While it doesn't sound like much, these past 7 years it's been nice to get a little something back. I know I've used these gold points to pay for some smaller and steeply discounted games, and cover the cost of my Pokemon Home membership each year. Sadly, this is all coming to an end. Beginning March 25th, the Gold Points program will be no more. If you have been holding off on any Nintendo Switch games purchases these past few months, you will want to get these orders in before the end of day on March 24th in order to get your points. Unfortunately, that's today, so by the time you're hearing this, it's already over. Regarding physical games, any games released prior to March 25th will still be eligible to be redeemed for gold points for a full year past their release date. So technically, gold points will still be earnable all the way until March of 2026. And then the points will take another full year to expire. Nintendo will be nursing this points program all the way through March of 2027 before they finally put a bullet in it entirely. So I guess the most recent Nintendo Switch game to be released would be just this past week we had Xenoblade Chronicles X Definitive Edition for the Nintendo Switch, and that released I think on Thursday the 20th or 19th or something like that. So that'll be probably the last day next year to redeem gold points, and then from then on, those points will be good for another year. There's been no word on if you will be able to apply recently redeemed points towards Nintendo Switch 2 game digital purchases, and I expect we won't really know about that until we go hands-on with our own Nintendo Switch 2 later this year. Nintendo Switch 2 is getting a big Nintendo Direct unveiling next Wednesday, April 2nd, I think it is, and then the week after that, I'll be going hands-on with the Nintendo Switch 2 at the Nintendo Switch 2 Experience event in Los Angeles, so stay tuned. We'll have a lot more to talk about on Nintendo Switch 2 very, very soon. End transmission.